Frieren, Beyond Journey's End is one of my favorite manga series, and it was so nice to see that the product on screen reflected the love for Frieren that I have, truly a testament to its staff on every level. The adaptation of these first 8 chapters, what I will lovingly refer to as the Prologue, though perhaps it's more accurate to say the Epilogue, managed to capture the soul of what makes Frieren so special as a story, including even the release schedule. Combining these 4 episodes into one drop has the benefit of the Oshinoko first episode movie, in that it is both set up while introducing the core plot at the end and the hype surrounding an hour plus of material. But unlike Oshinoko, it has the additional advantage of the fact that the material in these first 4 episodes is more true to what the series itself is. Nothing that happens in these episodes is dissimilar from what's coming later on. This journey is akin to Kino no Tabi and Mushishi, a rustic, thought-provoking odyssey, but with a little bit more forward momentum in regard to a plot, aka less episodic feeling, and instead of its amazement being directed outwardly, with the fantastic world constructed, though there is plenty of that here in how gorgeously it's captured, its foremost interest is inward, in our characters and their relationships. If you clicked on this video because you wanted convincing to watch Frieren without spoilers, that's my case, folks. You will be hard-pressed to find a more beautiful-looking anime with stellar direction and phenomenal character writing. This is where our spoiler-free discussion ends, because now it's time to dive into why this prologue lived up to the hype. Frieren is a story fundamentally about time. Technically, all stories are, but I find that the way the show talks about and visually represents time is the strong point of its prologue from a directional standpoint. That synergy is most clear in Frieren's experience of time. As an elf, a long time to her is completely different than her human compatriots. She describes their adventure as a mere 10 years, and so the best way to show that time passing is overall meaningless to her is to use montage. Whipping quickly through the seasons and years, the condensed nature of Frieren's travels that hint at grand adventures, but, like her perception of time, only important for mere moments before flipping to the next one. A hot day as relevant to her as a wondrous cave system. You can montage through 50 years or 4, and it still feels the same because to our lead, it might as well be. There is no better way to get into Frieren's headspace than to watch months fly by in seconds, the seasons changing before you know it. This unifies the audience with Frieren. It makes sense why she is the way she is, or why she's unable to empathize with her companions on this matter, especially when they show the aging up of the characters while she stays physically the same. The shopkeeper and Fern are probably the 2 strongest examples of it as far as pure montage is concerned, though of course the original party members are the most striking. She is the fish swimming upstream, unmoving. There is also, as another example of time via visuals, the good old dissolve to or from a young face to show that these are the same people, changed forever by the passage of time. This includes incredibly clever uses of framing to jump between eras by match cutting around Frieren. But I think the most powerful is the way time is shown through its neighbor on the dimensional chart, space. My favorite sequence in the prologue episodes is that of the blue flower, where 26 years after Himmel's death, Frieren cleans up one of his statues and then wants to find this flower he told her about while adventuring together almost 80 years ago. This segment has a montage, it's got the dissolve, it has Fern talking explicitly about how their relationships to time are different, but nothing beats when Frieren is thinking about that conversation with Himmel where he says he wants to show the blue moon weed to her as it's from his hometown. During this sequence, the 2 are entirely separated in their frames, and when they come together in this shot, the distance feels unbridgeable. They are separated by a chasm of time. But for this moment, upon seeing the flowers, Frieren acknowledges the gap.
遅くなったね、ヒンメル。
Thematically bridging it, if only in memory. It's also a good example of how flashback can be used to convey that time gap as well, which we see in the final segment of the prologue with Flame's gigantic tree getting planted as a sapling in the most innocuous cut of all time, yet somehow representing over 1,000 years. There's also the burying of Himmel, constantly cutting between the added dirt and moments from their time together. It's impressive that Frieren packs all these ways to show the influence of time, and there are even more ways to talk about it. Like when fighting the demon and his once immense power is now ordinary in the face of 8 decades of research. But interestingly, Frieren busts out flight, which he's surprised by, showing that despite her experience of time being different than ours, it's not the same as being frozen in it. She's still changing and growing, as shown by the fact that she has a new skill over the 8 decades. And I think that's the real special element of Frieren's story. It is fundamentally a story about time, but it is our character's relationship to time that is the impetus for growth and understanding, and allows the great character writing in this character-driven story to take center stage. For someone who has been alive for over a millennia, Frieren's knowledge of herself is surprisingly low, and so this journey is almost a quest of rediscovery of self. Through the lens of retracing the steps of the hero's party, Frieren is able to see another side of both her companions, past and present, as well as herself. Like the beach cleaning segment, for example, concludes in the realization that Frieren takes enjoyment in others' reactions. She doesn't particularly care for the sunrise, but smiles upon seeing Fern enjoy it. This proves that Himmel was right when he said that she would have enjoyed it decades ago. The journey is best experienced with others. The sunrise would literally not have been the same without Fern, just as it wasn't the same for the hero's party without her. Surprisingly, there's also a point about montage to make here as well. If you compare the runtime lengths of the 50-year montage and the Fern and Heiter aging montages, the latter is longer despite being approximately 10 times less quote-unquote true duration, which you can argue is a directional touch to show this idea that for Frieren, being together with others is more valuable, is more noteworthy than solitary journeying. And back more to the writing, it's not always Frieren as the character who has to learn about herself. As mentioned before in my favorite sequence, there's this undercurrent of why are you so obsessed with magic that Fern is asking Frieren. And this is interesting to us as an audience because we don't know why. And Frieren has stated that she's only somewhat interested in magic, like Fern states when she starts teaching her. Both of these assertions feel hollow given Frieren's passion for finding random magics and Fern's dedication to learning her craft. This sequence is focused on Fern's POV. We join her having the conversation about the futility of this search. We are following along looking at the back of Frieren's head while they talk because we don't know her plan. And this is frankly why this scene is my favorite, because it doubles as a triumphant and emotional moment for Frieren and as Fern's self-reflection. Because Fern is right that she didn't have to learn magic, but like Frieren, she chose magic for something as small as Heiter's smile. It's not a grandiose choice, but it is equally valid and even more emotionally powerful. There's also the great moment where Frieren, upon Heiter telling her to take Fern and go, starts crying, but we don't actually cut to her eyes because we're being trusted as the audience to connect this to the last time we saw her crying and realize that this too is about not having the chance to get to know someone who is leaving soon better, though this time it's on Fern's behalf. The micro-writing decisions have been truly spectacular, like the inclusion of foreshadowing that makes the stories feel that extra bit interconnected. The history book gets brought up while on the hunt for sweets to come up later that episode because Fern hasn't appreciated what 80 years of magic research means. Flamme's fake grimoire being dismissed as one by Frieren instantly, only to be revealed that Flamme was her master later, making Frieren one of the few experts on Flamme's work, is a great touch. And of course, the best piece of foreshadowing hasn't even been paid off yet from the first episode, but it will be amazing when it does. Though Frieren learning a spell to turn grapes sour, the revelation that Eisen loved sour grapes, and then the payoff in Montage is truly phenomenal. The unspoken lines that show how Frieren has changed, like in Eisen's memory where she was aloof and uninterested in an apprentice, now in the current day sleeping on Fern's lap, can only be captured in the line, "She's a good master." While I wouldn't say that Frieren reaches the almost meditative peak of Mushishi, nor is it trying to be frankly, it is a similarly slow-paced and deliberate anime to watch. And there's something immensely comforting about it, from its direction to its writing, but the real culprit for that feeling is probably in its aesthetics. The second shot of the first episode is all it took for me to realize I might be in love. Frieren's aesthetics are so perfect for this story, and the way this shot attempts to capture sunlight flickering through the leaves nailed it. There's something specifically beautiful about this show's color palettes and its lighting. The nature backgrounds feel painted with watercolors and some inspiration from an impressionist style with clear focus on how the sunlight would move through the space. Like on this innocuous shot, check out the light streaks coming from the top of the frame, the brushstrokes that suggest a path of fallen leaves, the warm golden glow that consumes the background. Compare that with this shot that has splotches of yellows and pinks for flowers, the light gradient that starts off over-luminescent with yellow on the right and fades to a more blue hue as it breaks through the tree canopy, which also creates an emotional connection with the three in the light. This is a good place to be. The way the colors blend into each other, the way the light bounces off the tree trunks and statues, it's simply breathtaking. And when you factor in the wide variety of actual color palettes, sure, we've established the standard day ones, but we've got the dark violet tinge of nighttime and the warm orange hues of sunset and the foggy light blue dye of a morning coastal city. It feels weird to call it muted because it's not low saturation, but the colors always seem to capture a kind of serenity, even in landscapes that wouldn't be out of place in the most grandiose of the romantic movement. Frieren is so comfortable placing its small characters in large frames that sell you on the majesty of the world. This journey is only one small part of the universe, it seems to say. This is not a larger-than-life quest to save the world. So take it all in. Take your time. And these backgrounds work so well because the character designs are also on point. If you make them silhouettes, you'd never confuse any of the primary cast, and while I'm not an expert on this subject, it's hard to miss how the team used bewitching eyes that carry over through a half-century so that you can still tell it's Himmel, and clear color assignments like Heiter's green that fades over time. I love the detail in these designs such that even when a character is alone against the light blue sky, there feels like there's so much to pick apart with the eyes, even as it's setting up the next shot in sequence. But the last bit of aesthetics that I need to mention is, of course, the composer, Evan Call, who is absolutely 1,000,000,000,000% in his Violet Evergarden bag here. The orchestration is gorgeous and fits in that classical space while not feeling like it belongs in an opera. And honestly, there's a lot of restraint here. Plenty of scenes where our sounds are just that of the environment and our characters talking. Voice acting is, needless to say, fantastic. That restraint makes the punch when the vocalist comes on the track to support the sweeping strings melody hit that much harder, and oh boy, did it already hit without it. And don't worry, he's also got his goofy, fanciful tracks here too, so you don't need to worry about the tone being too serious all the time. I swear, I'm not really a background art guy, but there's something about the aesthetics of this anime adaptation that got me there, and frankly, that's a sign to me of an amazing project. When there's so much love on display on even the basic background stuff that I can't help but lose myself in it. And that's why there's so much other cool stuff that I don't feel like there's a good place to put. So here they are all, rapid fire. The seagulls that represent Frieren and Fern during the Sweets Hunt are very, very cute. Entering town together, going off on their own, and departure. It is so random, but I love it. There is some fantastic shot selection and framing in the form of the hand burning with magical energy giving way to Fern's shield, the King's shadow overtaking the party when they're about to be executed as a show of his power, the use of a similar plateau setting of where Fern was going to jump versus where she became self-sufficient in the eyes of Heiter. It is no mistake that the older, healed Fern has a lush forest instead of dead trees. Even more fantastic parallels from Himmel stating it's beautiful during both meteor showers, where the second one gets the close-up because it doesn't have to compete with the light pollution of the capital, therefore being clearer. And there's also the slow way that the era of peace has made people forget the work of the heroes party, rusted in the capital, forgotten in the rural town, but still wielding some influence over the present. Frieren's prologue is simply amazing, one of the best 4-episode introductory arcs as I've seen since Nomad a few seasons back. I am so thankful that it turned out as well as it did, and I cannot wait to see what else this team will do to make this story that much more special. If you're interested in other anime that are going to be airing this season and want to see someone take on a brutal punishment for guessing incorrectly about what will be good or not, here's a preview for a seasonal draft I took part in. So I'm going to take, with the 5th pick, I'll be taking the Apothecary Diaries.
No. No.
Okay, that makes me, your guys' reactions is perfect.
Damn it.
I know I killed the pick now. There's a link in the description to check out the video when it drops. Spoiler alert, I didn't get to put Frieren on my team, but I think you'll be impressed with my roster and find some good recommendations in there. And hey, subscribe for more breakdowns like this in the future if you enjoyed. Maybe I'll even get to talking about Frieren again, do some adaptational analysis of the manga. Regardless, thank you for watching.